Okay, brothers and sisters, let's take a look at some of the mistakes that students make when working with arrays. Okay, so I've got 3 examples here of common errors. So let's talk about what I have. We've got an HTML page, very basic here, 1 button, and it calls the make mistakes function. We don't even need this div here. Okay, and there are a couple mistakes I want to talk about. So very first, we know that an array is a collection, right? This happens to be a collection of integer numbers. Okay, it starts at 1, then 2, then 3, then 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so if I were to ask many students to write me some code to get the first element of the array, it might look like this. Okay, so I know that I can get elements out of the array by referring to the name of the array, then using square brackets. First time we've used square brackets this semester. And then saying, get me an element at this position. So get me the element at position 1. So let's go ahead and output that. And for now, let's comment out these other alerts. Okay, so can you predict what will be output? 2 was output. Okay, and this is a point of much frustration for many students. When you were taught to count, you were taught to count starting at 1. So it's very natural to say that the first element is at position 1 in the array. But arrays use what's called a zero-based index. So actually, the first element is at position 0 or index 0. Okay? So a couple ways you can think about this. You can either retrain your brain to start counting from 0 when working with arrays. So this is at position 0, this is at position 1, this is at position 2. Or you can count as you normally do. This is position 1, and always remember to subtract 1. So this is position 1 in my brain, but the array requires me to subtract 1, so 1 minus 1, this is position 0. Okay, that is probably the most common mistake when working with arrays. It's a zero-based index. Okay, the next problem. If I were trying to get the last element in the array, I might use the incorrect index. We know that the last element is not at index 10. It's actually at index 9. But something that students often do is try and use the length property of an array, because I know that there are 10 elements in the array, so the length is 10, so I should be able to do this to get the last element out of the array. So let's try this. Okay, and we got undefined. We did not get 10. Remember, we have to start counting at 0, or we need to subtract 1 from the way we normally count. So if you want to get the last element in the array, you can use this. Okay, you can say take the length of the array, it's 10 elements, and then subtract 1, that gets me the last element in the array. So let's try it out. There we go, we finally got 10. Okay, now let's talk about one that I see all the time when I grade. Okay, students are very diligent and write their programs, and the programs work. But the functions that they write that accept arrays do not work for arrays of different size. And the autograder uses arrays of lots of different sizes, okay? Please, when you test your functions that accept arrays, please have 3 or 4 different sizes of arrays. So maybe an array with 3 elements, an array with 10 elements, an array with 15 elements, and make sure that your function works with all of them, okay? I've got a function here called add 1 to each. It takes in an array, and the name leads me to believe that it will go through and add 1 to each element in the array. But I've got a very subtle mistake here, okay? I am starting to count at 0, just like I just learned how to do, but then I make the mistake of only going up to 4, right? So actually, this function will only add 1 to the first 5 elements of my array. So let's see this in action. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this happened because maybe I was testing with an array that looked like this. Okay, and this does exactly what I expect it to do. There's 5 numbers in my array, and I loop through all 5 of them, and I add 1. Okay, but the autograder is going to get tricky, and it's going to pass in lots of different arrays. So one way you can get around this is by using that length property again. I start counting at 0, and I use the less than. I will count from 0 to 1 less than the length of the array, so in this case 9, and I will actually loop through all of the elements in the array. There we go, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so those are some common mistakes I see when grading array programs. There are lots of ways to do the wrong thing, but when in doubt, please reach out.